Hello, DECA members. My name is Sarah Sunny, and I am your Texas DECA District 7 president. And welcome to episode 11 of Spotlights with Sarah. Today, I have another very special guest. So I'm going to go ahead and let her introduce herself. So if you could just say your name, grade, how many years you've been in DECA, and all of that fun stuff.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shahd Khourshed. I'm the Vice President of Career Development for Louisiana DECA. I'm currently a senior, and this is my fourth year in DECA.
And first of all, congratulations on your officer position. That is such an amazing thing to be able to do and serve Louisiana DECA as. And to start off with, I like to just get straight into your DECA journey because every single person has their own story to tell in regards to how their time in DECA has looked like. And especially, well, I will say I'm very familiar with Louisiana as a state, maybe not so much with DECA, but I have a lot of family that actually lives over there, so that makes it easy. So go ahead and just kind of share what that's been like. What were some struggles that you faced and your highs in DECA?
Oh, okay, where to begin? My DECA journey, like to kind of sum up, has been very complicated. I started off my freshman and sophomore year, I lived in Texas, so I was part of Texas DECA. I was
Okay,
part of District 5, I think. It
you're
was,
by Austin.
oh yeah, I lived in Austin. It was huge. Like my district alone had like what, at least at the very least five, I mean probably more than 500. My school was like 200 DECA members. It was insane. So in DECA, I didn't really have much of a role because it was so like huge that I just didn't know where I fit in. But it didn't really matter because I just liked the vibe, like the energy. Like Texas DECA was like amazing. It was literally my favorite thing ever. And then my junior year, I moved to Louisiana. And DECA's not as big of a thing over there. Yeah, like my high school did not have a DECA chapter. So in order to like rejoin, I had to find a nearby high school with a DECA chapter. And I ended up finding one. It was like 20 minutes away from me. And I just emailed their advisor and I was like, can you please let me in? Like I want to do DECA so bad.
Really?
Yeah, like
You
I
joined another chapter.
mm-hmm. I mean,
Wow.
it was fine. Like they were nice and everything. I didn't get to like again do much because I like lived 20 minutes away and all their meetings were like right after school, so I had to like join on Zoom and stuff. It was not amazing, but obviously all of that changed soon enough once we finally hit the state conference because that's where I ended up meeting Dev. Obviously we all know and love Dev. She's like my favorite DECA member ever. I met her and we just like got to chatting, and she told me to run for state office, and I was like, what? I
Mhm.
can't do that. I was like so abrupt. I couldn't really see myself in like that big of a position. But I ended up doing it anyways, like just to see what would happen. And it turned out to be like one of the best decisions I've ever made. Because being that like influential in an organization that I have felt like so close with in like for so long, like since my freshman year, is such an honor and a gift. And I'm so incredibly grateful for it. And we have so many goals in Louisiana. It was so incredible to see like my state officers' team energy and like all their motivation, all their dedication. It was so enlightening and like so inspiring just to be around them. And that, of course, obviously, like just kept amplifying. Like we went to ICDC together, we went to ELS together, and we're planning so many things together. But then, like a little hitch came in the plan. I ended up having to move again.
Oh.
Yeah. Um, I currently live in Nebraska. But
Wait,
it's
what?
I asked Mr. Greth, like my state advisor, like if I could stay on the team, and he was like, yeah, sure. Like that was it. He was just like, okay.
You're kidding.
Yeah, that's why I cannot go to anything. I mean, I'm gonna try to go to state conference because like I'll just, fly over for a few days and like
Hold up. So
that.
are you technically a
I
Louisiana DECA member or a
yeah.
DECA
Like
member?
I paid the dues for both states, so I compete in Nebraska, but I like am part of Louisiana DECA, and that's why I'm able to keep my state officer position. So like my entire role is like very virtual and like very like from afar, which is it's kind of hard. Like it kind of sucks, but also like I'm still grateful to be able to have that opportunity to like engage with something that I care so much about.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Well, you were right about the complicated part,
yeah.
but I still think that it's incredible that you decided to stick with it because
Hmm.
that's a well, first of all, you went from like the largest association and you
Oh
kind
my God.
of went
Yeah.
smaller, which
It
is kind of
is
funny.
such a huge difference. Like I like Texas, you've been to Texas State, right? It's huge. It's crazy. It's
Here's the thing.
incredible.
Here's the thing.
Have you
I've
not?
been to ICDC.
Uh-huh.
I've only competed in state virtually.
No. Oh my God. You're missing out. Well, you got to go this year.
Hope fingers crossed. I
Okay,
hope
yeah. No,
so.
sorry. I'm not gonna jinx it. Knock on wood. I'm not jinxing
I
it.
actually have wood right here. Okay. But my freshman year, it was COVID. So
Oh
every
yeah.
my
Mm-hmm.
sophomore year, I'm in Frisco, Texas. So that's
Mm-hmm.
like District 7. It's a Dallas suburb. It's like
Yeah.
actual downtown Dallas is like 25, 30 minutes. So it's not far or
Mhm.
anything. So I'm just in a suburban area. But Texas hates ice. And
Oh,
like they were just not necessarily equipped to handle it sometimes. And
yeah.
so our school district just didn't think it was safe for us to drive. We had like I was literally at school with all of my stuff because we
Mhm.
were about to leave and then we got an email from our superintendent or something saying that like we couldn't go. So but obviously you guys know that I was at ICDC, so I did
Yeah.
I still the way that they did that
Hmm.
Texas DECA actually provided us with an amazing opportunity. They did not have to do this, but for which it was predominantly my school district, and we are a very large school district. We have 12 high
Yeah.
schools.
Oh,
We
yeah.
have like my school alone has
Mhm.
close to 300 members right now. And so
Mhm.
we're just a really, I mean, I'm sure you've recognized from Texas, a lot of the
Yeah.
schools are really, really big. And our district itself, like my school district specifically, has a lot of big chapters and they're very, very good at what they do. And so
Mm-hmm.
it took away a lot of the very good competitors that would be competing at state conference. And so
Hmm.
Texas was amazing enough to actually provide us with a virtual platform to compete in for that year. The other schools that were not in the same weather situation were still able to attend, but which I'm happy that they did, especially because we had a state officer from my school who left a few days early and she was able to obviously still serve in her capacity as a state officer, which was amazing. I'm very happy that she was able to do that. But we had to compete virtually and we were basically just competing against the kids who didn't attend, which was mostly our school district. So that's kind of how it turned out. I'm still very thankful that I was at least able to compete because when they emailed us that we weren't going, I thought I was done for the year.
I
Like,
know that sucks. It's fine. Like you'll see. You'll see what I'm talking about.
oh, I've
It's
seen the videos and stuff,
so
and it's
fun.
kind of weird to only go from district CDC to ICDC and not have that middle level because
Mm-hmm.
I mean I'll tell like my advisor still gets very confused when I say I've never been to state CDC. Like how? Like your district officer, how have you not been? And I was like, I don't know.
You have 2 more years to go. Like you'll have two chances to go.
That's true, and I'm very much hoping that nothing
Hmm.
goes wrong this year with anything. So I'm feeling the good vibes though.
Yes, it'll be. We're manifesting. Like
Yes.
it'll be good.
But yeah, so absolutely, I think that that is so interesting. I love the District 5 officer team. If you guys are watching this, hi, you guys are amazing. But District 5 is also a very large district, and I think it's
Oh yeah.
interesting. But like, even between the districts in Texas, there's substantial differences of which ones are larger, which ones are not. So
Hmm.
sometimes they, every once in a while, because we are so large, we're like our little own clusters. And then when we come to when we like for the district officers, it's easy because we have PCMs and stuff where we talk to the state officer team and it kind of
Hmm.
meshes us all back together again. But you know, when prepping for conferences like district CDC, it's a lot like, okay, we're just doing our own stuff until state. And then that's when you see everybody all over again, which is always the best thing because
Hmm.
in Texas, when you're friends with somebody in your state, they're half the time they're 4 hours away from you. So
No, exactly. Texas is so big. Like, and I just like casually went to state conference with like what 10,000 people. Like, but I really loved the experience. And yeah, it was like such a huge difference going from like Texas to Louisiana. We don't have that many members. It's not like that strong an association, but we've seen like a pretty big increase in membership
yeah.
last year. Yeah. So we're getting close to like what they're to me. But it ended up being like really fun because everyone was so like everyone just knew each other like group of people at ICDC. It wasn't like what like 1,000 of us showing up. It was literally like I can't remember. I think there was like 20 people from Louisiana that went to ICDC, and we all just like spent the entire time together.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
mean,
So,
that makes it easy because sometimes it is, I mean, even in my
hmm
district, we have over a third of the state basically, right? And we're just it's hard sometimes to connect with every single member, which it's sad because personally for me, I love to talk. That is my thing. I like to communicate with people. And so
hmm
when I don't have the opportunity to do that being at a large scale, it's hard. And then obviously you get overwhelmed when there's a lot of people trying to contact you, but my goal
hmm
is to try to help them. And so just trying to figure out the best ways to either get out mass communication, to really communicate with them at the conferences that we do have the time to hold is
hmm
the best way to kind of manage that. But it's been super fun. So, as an association officer, you have had a bit of a different experience to say the least. But what would you basically say? How do you basically manage your time between DECA and other things, whether that be moving so much or just the hectic schedule that you have? I'm assuming as a senior with college apps, and just basically how has that balance been like? Can you hear me? I think it's been cutting out.
My Wi-Fi is like really bad.
No, you're okay. I can hear you right now.
Say that again.
I just said, so what is it like being an association officer and how do you kind of manage your time? Because obviously you've had, different experience. Can you not hear me? I'll try putting it in the chat.
Oh yeah, you keep like cutting in and out. Oh my God. I'm sorry, my Wi-Fi is just not it sometimes.
No, you're absolutely fine. I'll put it in the chat.
Oh, how do I manage my time? That's a good question. Yeah, I feel like for Louisiana especially, we have ambitions and so such a small association that sometimes it's been kind of difficult like finding time to do everything that we want to do. So we have had to our goals, which is really upsetting, but it's just what's like best for us. So pretty much I just kind of try to accomplish my own personal goals and see how that works out for the team as a whole because we all have like such busy schedules that it's not always possible for us to get together all the time, which is again not my favorite thing, but it's just so difficult to get everyone together that it's sometimes best for us to work independently on the things that we want because all of us have at least one goal in mind for this year. So it just makes sense for us to like do our own work and then get together and see how that all has been.
And I think that's important, I mean,
Mhm.
it's very easy for me to say that, oh, well, I can always call, so my D7 VP Pardine, I can always call him because he is literally 10 minutes away from me. We are at the same school district because D7 is so big, but our school district, because there's so many schools, takes up is considerate portion of the membership. And
Mhm.
so it's really easy for me to just be like our chapters recently had a joint social at main event
Oh,
because
that's fun.
we're so close to each other. So it's
Mhm.
easy for me to say that, but I know for a fact, just based on what some of the state officers in Texas have talked about, is that because, first of all, Texas is large, but they're from all different parts of the state, that it can
Mhm.
be hard sometimes to do things. And I think virtual communication has been so important, not only, I mean, obviously COVID, but in the sense of just working with people all over the state, the world, the country, whatever that looks like, has been a struggle. So that answers kind of everything. Not only did you talk about an evidence struggle, which is just trying to get communication across, but
Mhm.
obviously it affects your role and your responsibilities as an officer.
Mhm.
So, next up, let's talk quickly about kind of competition. And so, for each person, they kind of sometimes they choose between your venues of leadership versus competition. I've tried my best to do a little bit of both here and there, but as for you, what event have you competed in, and some of your accolades and tips for either that event specifically or competition in general?
My freshman year, I competed in principals, hospitality, and tourism, and since then, I've been competing in hotel lodging and management. So it's a lot of like role play and testing. For testing, I'd say just take old DECA tests. They're literally everywhere, and I feel like it doesn't matter that much what event cluster you're taking the test for because they're all such similar questions anyway. DECA likes to repeat questions all the time, so it's pretty convenient in that sense. I literally had no idea what I was doing. Like, I didn't even know I had to shake the judge's hand until like 5 minutes before because someone had to send me an article about what to do. So it was like I was so nervous, but really just treat it as like just be casual about it. I mean, obviously be professional and like be put together, but it's just gonna be you trying to like pretend that you're fixing someone else's problem or you're just presenting to someone something. So just be kind of confident and like sure of yourself because at the end of the day, like they don't really know what you're talking. You don't just pretend that you do. Be confident in yourself and make sure that like no matter what, you really have yourself pulled together because that's the easiest way to make sure that you will be able to succeed in a role play. It's a lot of presentation, a lot of talking. So what you really have to do is just keep it together and try your best to keep it as very like casual and simple as possible because they're just a person. They're not like actually a real life client of some like big company. They're just there to help you get better at DECA.
Right. Absolutely.
Mhm.
That's an amazing tip. I will say I've gotten a lot of questions about role plays over my course and a lot of things, and I have to say I don't always know the answer to some of those questions because I'm a written event person. So I've tried to do my fair share of research regarding role plays, but if you guys are new members and you have questions, Shahd, you seem like a perfect person to really gain insight from when it comes to role plays because I definitely have gotten lost in trying to explain it to people. But with that being said, I think when you're new, it's like the simple things that mess you up, like when to shake the judge's hand or when are you supposed to move on to a certain thing or what are you supposed to cover when it comes to performance indicators. And that can be intimidating as a freshman in DECA. So I think that,
Mhm.
taking a second to ask somebody who may be more knowledgeable or experienced in it than you are, and then taking the steps to really execute that and practice it is the best way to becoming better in a role play event. I think she cut out again, but we're gonna try to problem solve this here. Can you
I can hear you sometimes. Like I heard, or actually, I'm not even sure of the question like entirely, but I'm trying my
hear
best.
me?
Ugh, I should have just used my hotspot before this.
It's okay. I will go ahead and load in the next question into the
Hmm.
chat. So I've said this quite a few times now, but um, I first was asking people their most fun moment in DECA, but then I realized that's not as fun to listen to. So we changed that to your funniest moment throughout your time in DECA. If you guys can hear clicking noises, it is me putting it into the chat.
Oh, funniest moment. Hmm. I don't know. Let me think. Okay, my freshman year wasn't very eventful. My sophomore year was super uneventful. That was my COVID year. Literally just filming role plays from my living room was
For
so
clarification, I think these usually tend to happen in large settings. So usually at conferences or with your
Mhm.
chapter, but also your chapter has changed a few times. But there's always some funny things that happen to each member that may just seem like overly hysterical in the moment, but it's still so fun to kind of look back on. So
Yes. Oh, I guess my probably my favorite conference was ELS. I think that was my favorite one. The most entertaining thing we did there was that like little balloon challenge where you had to like tie a balloon to your like ankle and then you had to chase everyone around and try to like pop it.
Really?
I did not last very long. I was so timid. I was like, please don't get anywhere near me. But it was really fun when we like gathered around the two people who were like battling it out and we kept getting closer and closer. That was just, and I think it was Bella that was like filming in her like little camera thing.
I love that.
Like, yeah, we actually vlogged so much during ICDC. It was so fun. We have like a bunch of little random clips of us like
We
walking
have
around.
vlogs too.
And
Yeah.
it was so fun. We would like go on the subway and
Hmm.
we'd like try to find like random places to go to. I think we went to was there was like chase. It was the most hysterical thing ever. Oh my goodness.
I have to say that I feel like vlogging might have been a thing that a lot of people did at ICDC because I know for a fact that particularly my group,
Mhm.
did that a lot. I think there was a certain extent where I ate up the storage in one of my friend's phones. So she was just like, I'm gonna have to delete these when we get back. And I said, well, how about we actually make the said vlog before you delete them? So we have a
Mhm.
lot of great clips. I think there's like one of me where I was holding it under my chin so you could like fully see this double chin moment because it was like right here. And I'm like walking through the streets
And the pictures.
did. I was wearing Crocs, and a lot of people who have seen me at conferences know that I changed into Crocs like instantaneously after when I'm allowed to. So I was holding it under, and I just went up to my friends and I just go like, "How was your competition, guys?" And it was a bit awkward because I was very adrenaline heavy and excited. So I think I was being too happy in that moment, but it's okay. So that might have an ICDC thing. Like I was just super excited about everything because I'd never like the biggest conference I'd seen was districts because I didn't go to state. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Everything is so cool. And so I was just on a adrenaline rush the entirety of ICDC. Can you still hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now. Oh my God. You've been frozen for me so many times that I just like start taking pictures of you because you look so funny. I will send them.
Honestly, it's making the spotlight even better, in my opinion. I think it's giving it some spice, some flavor. It's, giving it some personality because this
Oh
is
yeah.
definitely the most interesting one that we've had. So, but essentially all I just said is that I was on an adrenaline high the entirety of ICDC. So
Mhm.
I was like overly eccentric about everything. And so when we were vlogging, I would go up to people, like people from my chapter, and I would just be
Mhm.
like, double chin moment, I'm vlogging from here because I can't hold the camera properly. And I'm just like, how was your guys' competition? Because I was just so excited. And I think people perceived me as a bit much, but I was just very happy to be there. And it's
Honestly,
the
that's
largest thing I had seen as districts at that point. I hadn't seen.
yeah. ICDC was like just terrifying and exciting all at the same time. Like I think I went the entire time without drinking any water. Because water there was so
That is
expensive.
not good for you.
I know, but water there was so expensive. Like I was not about to buy this like $4 bottle of water
Were
every
you
time
buying it from
the
where'd you get?
convention center.
Okay, well that's the problem.
Yeah, we had to like go to I think Walgreens. Like there
I
was
know
like
what
Walgreens
ours was. We used
here.
Publix. We bought like cases of water at
I
Publix.
didn't get to go to Publix. I wish
We
I
were
did.
right by Publix. Like our hotel was walking
Hmm.
distance from there. And then the only time that I think I maybe bought water or drink from the actual conference center was when we had to stay there for 5 hours waiting for our finals time because our advisor said, well, you guys should just stay there and practice.
Oh my gosh.
So we did, and I got really thirsty.
That's fair.
Okay, I'm gonna attempt to get this last question
Hmm.
in the chat. So this one is basically, what do you want to tell members? Like if you had any like last words of advice
Hmm.
for I can't spell. Um for basically just everything that encompasses not only just your leadership or competition roles in DECA, but also just DECA as a whole, and anybody who might be new, old, regarding anything that you think that they should remember throughout their journey.
Something I think it was something that Hadley told my team. We were meeting with her once and we were talking about how we were like being super discouraged by like because we had this project where we were trying to start new chapters and we were feeling kind of discouraged because there wasn't a lot of schools like responding back. So she was telling us how all we really can do is just give everything that we can, and that is enough. And I think that's such good advice, especially like being a state officer of a state that, first of all, I don't even live in anymore, and that I'm like, and it's so disconnected. It's so nice to have that reminder that all I really have to do is just give it my all, and everything after that is just up to other people. Like it's not a reflection of my capabilities whether or not people take like the things that I try to give them. And it's just such a comforting thought because it's it's a good reminder that my like self-worth and everything that like I think about myself doesn't have to tie in with the the tangible impact I make.
Yeah.
Because you can get really discouraged when you don't see results right in front of you. And I
Mhm.
really liked having that reminder that all I really have to do is just give it everything I can, like do everything in my capabilities, and then just see what happens after that.
That's an amazing piece of advice. And I will say that the long-lasting impacts aren't necessarily the ones that look like the grandest ones in the moment. And it's hard to realize that because if you're really trying to make change and if you're really trying to make a difference in anything in life, it takes time. And it's usually a gradual improvement. It's never just like, okay, my goal is to raise Louisiana DECA's chapter to 300 from 200. Well, 100 new chapters isn't going to happen overnight. That's
Exactly.
obviously going to take some time. And it's actually harder than people think. It's not as easy as like, oh, just sign up for a chapter for DECA. No, because you have to take in mind,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, either they have to hire an advisor or they have to
Mm-hmm.
have a business teacher who could take cover for it, who would who would basically have to go to trips and take time out of their
Mm-hmm.
schedule to go. And then they're going to be taking care of a considerable amount of kids because DECA is so popular. Some of those kids may want to run for office, which adds more stuff to it. There's a lot of different levels involved, and every single thing in DECA and in life, like I said, deals like that. Like anything that you want to make an improvement in, it takes time because there's so many intricate levels to it. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
important to remember because we lose sight of that. We think, well, I can do everything. And while maybe you can, but you have to don't like just burden yourself so much where you're pressuring yourself that, well, I don't see something happening right away. It's okay. That happens to everyone. So I think that's probably the best way to end off this episode and amazing piece of advice. I think that's so important. It's something that we don't actually talk about nearly as much or enough through high school, DECA, college, whatever. It's just that making a difference takes time. So, with that being said, thank you so much to everyone who checked out this episode of Spotless with Sarah. This is episode 11. So, we are now in the second I can't talk, double digit episode. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to go ahead and keep her on here for just a second longer so I can hopefully speak to her without some internet connection problems, but we'll see. So again, sorry for the technical difficulties. I think it's probably from my side too. So I don't know, it's okay. But I am upset that I can't see you at Power Trip,
I
but
know, I'm so
I am
sad.
very, very, very happy that I at least got to speak to you this way the day before we're leaving. So if I see any Louisiana DECA people there, I'll make sure to tell them say hi to you from me. And thank you so much for watching this episode.